G'day guys, it's Adam here, Nomadic Off-Road Campers, and today we are going to talk all things batteries and solar, because the most common thing I get asked all the time is, we've only got 300 or 400 watts of solar on the roof, ignore the beeping in the background, and you've only got a 200 amp battery. How does that work? Can I go bigger? Can I go more? What will it power? All those sorts of things. How long can I stay off grid? All those questions, I'm going to try and answer them for you right here, right now. But in order to do that, you need to understand one thing. The system we use on our Norcas is big. It's a big system. It's designed by Projector. It all talks. It's all fitted here in Australia, and it's all fitted by qualified licensed auto electricians. Let me show you what we do. So this is a Norca 16 we have just finished doing this morning. Essentially, this is one of our new variants. So we've had to move all the batteries from inside the van to the outside of the van with all the new regulations, etc., etc. But what I want to point out is how it all works. So from the roof, you've got 400 watts of solar on the roof of this particular van. On the 14 footers, you've got 300 watts of solar on the roof. They are rigid frame panels. Can't really show you one of them, but they are proper glass panels. The biggest thing we find with solar panels, and this is for all manufacturers, is that by using the glass panel, your efficiency rating is a lot higher. Put simply, if you look at any house that has solar panels on it, they will use the glass panels, very similar to what we use. Solar needs circulation underneath it, otherwise it's not going to operate. What you will see with a lot of the stick down panels, which a lot of importers use, is that they don't have any circulation around them. So therefore, and you can ask any solar expert this, the efficiency rating on a stick down panel or flexi panel versus a glass panel is significantly lower without the ventilation around it. So that's why we and a lot of other your higher end brands will use the glass panels, the proper glass panels. So that's that in a nutshell. The other thing we do, as I said down here, is we run a separate solar regulator. So you can have as much solar on the roof as you think you need. The problem is, if you're not going through a big enough charge system, it is just totally inefficient. Another factor that you got to think about is that if you do have a whole heap of solar on the roof and you're parked under shade, it ain't going to work. So you're still going to need to have a secondary backup source for your solar input. I've even seen vans at the moment, they've got solar panels on the back and then you've got to fold them up. Even when you're driving, that's not doing anything, and the shade is going to cut it off. Do your research on solar panels. We use a good system. I'm not going to say it's the world's best system, but it's a great system. Our panels have got a lot of boards, a lot of computer chips underneath, so even if half the panel's in shade, it's still going to make the rest of the panel work. A lot of your cheaper solar panels, with the to make them cheaper, they just don't put as many computer boards on them, so computer chips in them. So once half the panel or a little bit of the panel gets shaded out, even bird droppings, bat droppings, all that sort of stuff, the whole board just crashes, so it doesn't work anymore. So there's a little tip for you. So getting back to this system, on our rooftop, so with this particular van, you got 400 watts of solar on the roof. That's all being fed down to a separate 100 volt 40 amp charger. So it's a dedicated MPPT solar regulator. It connects to your phone via Bluetooth, so you can see what's going on. Sorry about the noise in the background. So what you can see there is that it's dedicated to only the rooftop solar. Now, if you are parked under shade or you want to get a little bit more juice going through that battery, you can plug it in through the separate Anderson plug here. That separate Anderson plug is going through a totally separate charging system. So it's going through a different DC-DC that's over on the side there. So the DC-DC is going to manage your external solar up to 400 watts, and it's also going to handle your vehicle charging, which is normally about a 40 amp charge. So that's why we do it. So a lot of the confusion lies in the marketing for a lot of companies, where they say, I've got 600 watts on the roof and I'm going through a big brand, starts with an R, Manager 30 or Manager 40 system. that system itself has only got limitations, let's put it that way, because your rooftop solar, your car solar and external solar, they'll only be getting maybe 15 amps, 20 amps per section max. They're not going to get a whole heap through it, which is the reason why, even if I went to a separate DC-DC here, if I only did the one DC-DC, the efficiency in this system would be nowhere near what it needs to be to do what we say it can do. So by having that separate regulator and dedicated regulator, and then a separate DC-DC for any plugins, we can run a lot more of it. So our inverter, which is in here at the moment, that will power your aircon. So a lot of people say, how long can I get running off grid with this setup? This is our base package. How long can I get off grid with that? The honest to God answer is you can get weeks. If you are in good sunlight, managing your solar and managing your electricity usage per day, not using air cons off the inverter for long periods, and getting good sunlight charge, you can be weeks on end off grid in this system. At some point, if it does get overcast, all that sort of stuff, and you're using a lot more power, you're going to need to plug into your car or a generator or something like that, but that's what happens. To put it into perspective on what we were doing a couple of weeks ago, we were down in Adelaide, we're at the Adelaide show, we had 3 caravans all lined up. It was great, it was hot, but we had lots and lots of solar. We were running the air cons off all the vans, all windows open, doors open, totally inefficient. We were running them for about 6 hours a day. We had to charge them at night because, as I said, we were running it extremely inefficiently with windows open, people going in and out, doors open, all that sort of stuff. But you can run your aircon, you know, in that capacity. What we would recommend is that if you are going to run your aircon, get it so you're just cooling down the van. The van takes about, on a hot day, the van takes about 20 minutes to cool down. Turn the aircon on, off your battery, cool it right down. You're not going to put the system under extreme amounts of load. You're only going to put the inverter about 30% of load. And what you'll find is that will bring it down, and the temperature as the nighttime cools down, you'll actually have a much more efficient operation inside with your battery and your solar. During the day, you're going to be harnessing that energy. At night time, you're going to be utilising that energy. Another handy tip is to not have every single light on. Utilise your external lights. Have your fridges on economy mode, so eco mode. And another big tip on battery preservation, if we can use that word today, is to make sure your fridges are full. If you are running 2 fridges and they're both half full, you are better off putting all that gear into one other fridge. Think of it as your home fridge. It works better when it's full because obviously everything's nice and cool, and the fridge is not trying to cool fresh air. That's another little handy tip there for you. So if I go through here, as I said, a 200 amp battery, it's a big battery. Google how much they are, they're worth a fortune. You can do a 400 amp battery. That's obviously going to give you a lot more power if you are running your aircon and stuff like that off it. But as it says, as it's standard, a standard package on ours, it's a very high performing system. It will do everything we advertise that it can do and more. And of course, obviously up there having that dedicated solar system is going to be just a real win if you are doing a lot of off-grid, off-road environments. So if you'd like to know more, there's always the PMs and DMs and emails and all that sort of stuff, or give us a yell, 1300 696 672, or drop in. Hope to see you at the show soon. Talk soon. Cheers.